Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, comic book collectors of all ages, fans of all ages, just geeks out there that just want to talk about comics. You're in the right place because we are AussieVerse right here. So, and I'm joined by my good friend Ryan. How you doing, Ryan?
Happy to be here. Excited to talk some DC again. It's been a while.
Yes. So, as Ryan alluded to just then, we are going to talk about this DC news that came out in the comics called Dawn of the DC. First, we won't get quite into it yet. We're just going to do some plug-in of our stuff. So, if you don't know, like and subscribe to this channel. We got heaps of other content and heaps of other videos that you might want to brush by, and we've got heaps of stuff coming up. So please like and subscribe to this video. And also, too, you can find us on Instagram at AussieVerse_comics. So go check out that page. And all our designs, all our thumbnails, and all our graphic design stuff is done by A51_designs. Go check out that Instagram page because there's good content there. And yeah. So that's
A51
all.
does good work.
Very good work, and we'd be lost without her. So anyway, now that's enough of the plugging. So as Bo would say, let's get now down to the loving. So this announcement of Dawn of DC, the new comics that are coming up. Me personally, I'll start off right off the bat just saying it's definitely not a reboot, like some people might think, but it's just sort of a sort of refresh.
A soft reboot.
Yeah. So, what are your initial thoughts when you heard about this? Because this is obviously going to happen after the Lazarus Pit, and we've just got Dark Crisis on Infinite Earth. So, we've got two events coming up. So, initially, we'll get into the titles, but what are your thoughts to start with? What do you think this is?
Soft relaunch of the DC universe, just to try out some new things, bring some things back to a more familiar state. I saw that it came out recently that Action Comics 1050 is restoring Superman and John's secret identity.
Yep.
Thank God, because I think that that's something that had been sorely missing from Superman and really needed to come back for that to get working again, in working order, I suppose.
Yeah. See, I'm always like, I guess it doesn't matter too much to me either way, but I always feel like it feels better with a secret identity. It brings that bit more of a thriller aspect to it. So, what are they going to find out and stuff like that? How's he going to keep his secret identity now? I think it adds a little bit of a layer to a story. So, it might help the writers out a bit more too. So.
Like, there are instances where a character having or not having a secret identity can be a really interesting story. Like with the Bendis Daredevil run, where that entire run is about everyone finding out Matt Murdock is Daredevil and him constantly going, I'm not Daredevil. What are you talking about? And then him just suing newspapers.
Yeah. So even at the moment, like as I'm reading Action Comics and Superman, I don't really notice that they've lost their secret identity. It's just not there anymore. I mean, like he's not Clark Kent anymore. So we want that back. I guess that's more to the point. For me personally, I want a bit more Clark Kent back into the Daily Bugle, and yeah.
Clark Kent at the Daily Planet is one where it's just like, it just feels comforting, especially since there was a period in Rebirth where we just didn't have it. And then when we finally got it back, we only had it for not even a year and a half before Bendis went, no more secret identity.
Yeah. All right, so we'll get into it. We'll start off February, which is what people would mostly know because solicitors have been out. So February is going to get a. So this is going to kick off from 1051 or 1051 of Action Comics. So, and then we're going to get a brand new Superman series, #1, and it's going to be written by Joshua Williamson.
Instant buy.
As soon as I got solicited, I went to the store and goes, yeah, put it on my list. I want to see how he does with it, because for me, Joshua Williamson, I wouldn't say he's hit and miss. He's mainly hit, but I like he's got a certain style, and when he took over Deathstroke and Batman, it didn't feel as much as his style. But I think something like a Superman is perfect, and apparently it's going to be a lot of Lex Luthor and Superman in this one, which he touched a bit on Lex Luthor in the Batman run that he did. So I think it's something that Joshua Williamson wants to do, a Lex and Superman. So I'm excited.
I feel like those light-hearted characters are the ones that Williamson really has a way of writing. He really understands how to do that and tackle stuff like legacy and legacy characters specifically, like with his Flash run, where he had to deal with multiple different Flash characters. So I'm excited to see how he will handle the Superman family.
Yeah. And with me personally, because it's my favorite rogues gallery, is Flash. He did amazing with Flash's rogues gallery, so he's really good to that. So with Superman's rogues gallery, I think he's going to do really well, especially if Lex, who's an intelligent man, I feel like he's going to bring out something good with Lex here. So yeah,
If it's anything like his Flash run, hopefully we end up with an arc for every single major villain.
Whew. Now that would be lovely, because there's quite a few Superman villains I really like. Cyborg Superman, Metallic, we got them all.
Eradicator.
Oh, Eradicator, yeah. I wouldn't mind a refreshing Eradicator one. Mongol, we just had that, but happy to have another one.
What's Zod up to these days? Is he still just chilling on a moon trying to rebuild Krypton?
Well, that's a good question. Let's hope that Joshua Williamson answers that. So on to the next one in February. Just quickly, we'll go Adventures of Superman, John Kent. And this is by Tom Taylor. So this one's going to be a mini. So out of Tom Taylor's run of Superman, Son of Kal-El. So apparently this one is going to be featured in, well, at least for what I know, Ultraman, against Ultraman. So that's Earth 3 stuff. So yeah.
Okay,
Thoughts?
that's kind of the logical place to go with for John Kent, seeing as how when Bendis went and did a Bendis, he went and just took John Kent to Earth 3 for no reason and trapped him there for a few years to age him up because Bendis doesn't like writing teenage characters. So he went, okay, I want to get John a little bit older, and he had him tortured by Ultraman. So to me, this is one that's like, we got to bring this full circle.
Yeah. So it's probably going to sort of get some closure on that story or this rivalry going, because it's only 6-issue mini. So we don't know what's going to happen from John from there on. But
I've liked what Taylor's done with John, but the thing is, I just feel like they rushed John as a character and what he was meant to do. So like, even though he initially started off as Superboy, we should have gotten a lot more of that Superboy period, and he should have just grown into the Superman role naturally.
Actually, that's a very good point, because to me, I did eventually drop it like a month ago, and I didn't realize it was ending, but I just thought there was something else I wanted to pick up, so I dropped that naturally, because it wasn't bad, but at the time I was just like, yeah, it's just like you said. I mean, like, there was no time for him to, he just got thrown in there. There was no time for him to grow, no time for this. It's like, go in there, there's villains, there's life-threatening, world-threatening situations, and he's just like, oh, what do I do? And he's trying to figure out himself. Look, I was excited for it, and I did like majority of it. It just felt like, yeah, it was I didn't know where it was going, and it was just a bit here and there, and yeah, no, I don't know. So, but yeah, I enjoy John Kent, and obviously Tom Taylor's got a good voice for it, because I think he suits it, because it is very pulpy and it's very great. There's a lot of good jokes in it and stuff like that, and I like the relationships that John is building up. So, it should be interesting to see where he goes to from here.
And even better, it lets him finish his story as well.
Yeah.
Like he didn't just get cut off at, was it 12 issues, 13, 14?
I think he ended up at 18 and in the end.
Yeah, well, he doesn't just get cut off. He just gets to go, okay, I've got one more story I wanted to tell. We'll cap it off with that.
Well, see, that was the thing too. We'll get off this soon, but that was the thing too. When I was reading Superman: Son of Kal-El, there was two crossovers. There was the one with Nightwing, and then there was the one with Superman when he came back. So they were interrupting the core of the story. What Tom Taylor was trying to. I don't know if that's a publishing thing. Like we've got to tie him in with Nightwing 1 week for 2 weeks, and then we've got to tie him in with Superman action for 2 or 3 weeks, months, I should say. So yeah, that I felt killed the momentum. So that could have been another key factor to it. But yeah, anyway, move on to March. So March, we've got at least 2 announced, and DC have promised about 20 so far. So there's about half of that been announced. We have got Unstoppable Doom Patrol by Dennis Culver.
I think Dennis Culver worked on Future State Gotham, which I haven't read, but I am intrigued that there's a new Doom Patrol book because they haven't had a book in a while. Like the last person who did that was Gerard Way.
Yep. Well, I read. I had it for about. I think I dropped it around issue 6 of Gotham. I was liking it, but other stuff came out, so I decided to swap. And it didn't feel like it was part of the DC because it's Future State. It's part of the future. I'm going. I'll just pick it up in trades after 6. But yeah, I thought it was decent writing. I think he's done a couple of other things. I can't quite put my finger on them, but yeah, I have no recollection of Doom Patrol. I haven't seen them pop up on anything. They haven't been around for ages. So obviously very popular with the TV show. They're about to get their 4th season coming out in like next month. So yeah, they're
Like
right away.
this should have been a no-brainer to have out sooner.
Yeah. Or we have to wait till March. Like this, I would argue too late. Well, not too late, but just yeah.
Why wasn't there a Doom Patrol book when the series initially started?
I don't know if they had any trust in it. It feels like they've never had trust in Doom Patrol, and I didn't know too much about Doom Patrol until the TV show. I'm just going, it's pretty cool. Like, I don't mind it. And then I've sort of figured out a bit more about Doom Patrol since then. I like the characters. I like the concept. It's pretty simple.
Well, the very interesting thing about Doom Patrol is that there's very few characters that stick around between writers.
Mm-hmm.
Like the main ones are just, I believe it's Robot Man, Elastigirl, and they might, and Negative Man. They may be the only ones that really stick around, and then apart from them, the cast around them just changes.
Feels like, for what I know, Crazy Jane sticks around for a bit sometimes. But yeah. Well, look, I like Cliff, Robot Man, and Negative Man's got an interesting thing, Elastic. But yeah, it's a cool concept. I'm not sure if I'll pick it up. I might give it a go.
If there was anyone here I would be willing to take a chance on, I feel good about Doom Patrol.
Cool. So we'll move on to the next one for March. So this one is the winner of the competition. There's a competition every year, and they pitch out a story, and people got to vote for it. So this one is called Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow. This is going to be by Kenny Porter. So this is going to be a Connor Kent story, 6-issue mini. Any thoughts?
I like that they're giving Connor Kent something to do that isn't just hanging around doing nothing like he has been doing for a long time since they made a big deal about bringing him back and then just did nothing with him.
Yeah. I like the fact too. You see a picture of it, and he's got the jacket on again. So this feels like a bit of nostalgic moment. So I'm actually interested to check this out.
For me, this is like the era of sidekicks that I'm really interested in, which would be like Connor Kent, Tim Drake, Bart Allen, they're the sidekicks I really care about. So this is one I'd pick up.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of what they're going for, and that's probably why it won in this voting competition because people want to see it. So that's a good indication because there was thousands upon thousands votes on this one. I know I voted, so but yeah. So I'm interested to see how this goes. So I'm with you. I'll pick it up. So we'll see how it goes. It's a 60 issue, so it's not gonna take up too much. But yeah. So we'll move on to April. So we've got some big ones coming up in April. So we have got the Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, written by Mariko Tamaki, coming up.
I think the only thing I've ever read by Tamaki was a X-23 series. And I didn't mind that. I didn't mind what I read of that. So I suppose it just depends how good she is at handling cosmic stuff, because it's a bit harder to handle that stuff as opposed to the more earthbound stuff.
Yeah, agree. Apparently, in the sort of titles, he's going to be grounded more, Hal Jordan. So I'm not sure on that. I could be wrong about that, but I've read Tamaki's Batman's run, Detective Comics, sorry, and she wrote a mini series of Crush and Lobo. So then that was a 6 issue mini series. So that was spacey. I thought she did really. I actually really enjoyed that series. Her detective run was okay. She introduced some really cool new characters, so that maybe is something that she will do with Hal Jordan, bring in some new characters and stuff like that.
If anything, Green Lantern is one of those things where it just it needs a refresh. It needs like a nice point where people can just come on and go, I can start here.
Yep, agree. Yeah, it'll be something I want to just check out. And I'll definitely be picking up that one. So we do have another Green Lantern book announced, but there is no date to it. I don't know if you've heard any more dates to it, but no.
No, I haven't heard anything more about it than what the book is.
So I might as well put it in with this one because that's what it is in the articles. So with the April bit, so it might not be April. But it's Green Lantern John Stewart by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Now, me right off the bat, he's definitely going to pick up this one.
Of the two Green Lantern books, this is the one I'd pick up. 100%, because it's probably just going to be more Green Lantern Corps-esque stuff dealing with cosmic threats.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of John Stewart, and Philip Kennedy Johnson's doing amazing in action. Apparently, too, he has a military background, so this is why the connection's there. So he might go dig a bit more into that sort of the military side of John Stewart, which is fine by me. He can do what he likes. I'm hoping both of these are ongoing. I hope they don't do one mini series and the other, or both do mini series and do another Green Lantern mini series. I want to do both ongoing. Let's have two Green Lantern books there for me personally. So
Green Lantern is one of those things where it works better when there is multiple books, because there's just so many characters and it just varies out the stories.
Right. And I think it gives the writers a bit more freedom because if there's only one Green Lantern book, there's a lot of pressure just to pack everything in because Green Lantern is a big concept. It's galaxies. So if there's only one book and one writer, he's just like, shit, I've got to jam pack all this in a Green Lantern sort of stuff, and these multiple characters, these multiple villains, these multiple threats.
Plus, with one book, no one is happy because not everyone gets their Green Lantern. Well, their favorite Green Lantern doesn't get a moment to shine.
Yeah, that's another good point. I mean, like this, at least you get a Hal Jordan book, you get a Hal Jordan, you're going to get Hal Jordan characters, and same John Stewart. Hopefully, down the track, they definitely get into Jessica Cruz, and we get a bit more Kyle Rayner, and that'll be great.
More Jessica Cruz is always welcome.
Mhm.
She's my favorite Green Lantern because I just really like the idea of a Green Lantern who her willpower comes from fighting anxiety every day. That's a pretty interesting concept.
She's yeah, she suffers from social anxiety, so yeah, she's very interesting. And she's a different type of Green Lantern because she just constantly doubts herself, doesn't she?
Yeah,
But
and it
she
makes for really good stories.
does. I can do. I 100% agree. So we'll move on to the next one in April. So it's going to be Green Arrow by Joshua Williamson.
What more needs to be said than I told you so? I willed this into existence.
Exactly right. So if you go back on previous shows, we have talked about this because Joshua Williamson has mentioned numerous times that his favorite character, and he doesn't shy away from this, is Green Arrow. So we thought, and by the style, as we mentioned before, of Joshua Williamson's writing, he'd be perfect for a Green Arrow. We've been screaming for it, me and Ryan have, and we've
Plus,
got it.
he was just seeding it in all of his books that he was writing. It was just like, ah, there's Connor Hawke over here in his Robin book, and he's writing him. And then he's got Roy Harper in his nice little crisis event that he's doing. And then we've got Black Canary over here in this Deathstroke book.
Yeah, yeah. He's just got it patched in everywhere. He just wants it. He just wants it, and now he's got it. So I'm interested to see what he does with this because Green Arrow is up there with one of my favourites. So I'm definitely picking up this because I just can't wait to see what he does with it because it feels like there's going to be a lot of passion in this. As we've just mentioned just then, he just there's something about him in Green Arrow, and I know he's been dying to tell a Green Arrow story. So count me in.
This is one I would pick up as well. Mainly because I want to see how he rehabs certain aspects of Green Arrow, like he's already started to do. Seeing
Mm-hmm.
as how he was immediately like, oh, really early on after getting his hand on those characters in his various books, he's just like, okay, Connor Hawke's back. Okay, let's find out what he's been up to. Okay, Leanne Harper, she didn't explode anymore. We're gonna fix that. Roy Harper didn't go and become a crazy asshole.
Yeah, yeah. I think excuse me. I think he's going to go into the family aspect because that's apparently his passion. So, yep, all forward to it. So we'll move on to May. We've got a couple in May. We've got Batman Brave and the Bold. The only two writers notable that I knew in this were Tom King and Rob Williams. So these are going to be a series of one shots, basically, aren't they?
Uh, I assume so because I also saw that Dan Mora and Mitch Gerards are attached.
Yeah, yeah. So I reckon Gerard's. Oh yeah, Gerard's will probably go with Tom King because they always do together. I'm not sure where Morrow. So Rob Williams hasn't done anything since the Suicide Squad as far as I know, in Rebirth. So
Or it could even just be like a couple short stories, I suppose, per
mm.
issue.
Well, correct me
Kind
if
of
I'm
like
wrong.
urban legends, I guess.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're just because that's finishing, so they're going to sort of replace it with this. So correct me if I'm wrong. Sort of Brave and the Bold was just Batman teaming up with another superhero.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly what Brave and the Bold is. Yep.
yeah, yeah. And then the next issue will be him teaming up with a different superhero. It'd just be one each one, and yeah. But I'll hear what other people think about it. It's probably not going to be something I pick up because I'm assuming they're going to be oversized as well, so they're going to be a bit more dearer.
Plus, Batman has hit a saturation point. There is too much Batman.
Yes, agree. So the last one for May, the last one for May is just a cyborg story. Like
To be
the team,
announced.
the team is not announced yet. So, yep. Any thoughts on this one? What on cyborg?
Last time he had a book, it was in Rebirth and it didn't last very long. That's what I
Yeah.
remember.
yeah, like 26 or 20 issues. I'd assume I'd almost put my money on this is going to be a mini. Um, I, I'll wait till the creative team to make a decision on it. But Cyborg's always a character I always want to be interested in, but just when I do read Cyborg, it just doesn't happen. I think there's potential there to write a good Cyborg story, but yeah,
The thing is, they just don't do anything interesting with Cyborg really in stories. Unless he's on the Teen Titans. That's the only time they do interesting things with him. Otherwise, it's just, Cyborg, he's on the Watchtower, and he's just doing monitor duty.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
They
the
basically,
Watchtower's been hacked. Cyborg, go fix it.
yeah, he's basically just an electrician, isn't he? A high tech electrician. But
Yeah.
yeah, he could be one of those characters where you just can't break him off on his own. He just needs to be in a team, and that's his lane. But I'm all for it. But they obviously need to maybe develop an arch nemesis, one that we can remember besides his dad. So yeah,
Well, he's got one bad guy. He's only got one that I know
mm.
of, and that's Grid. And Grid is
Yeah,
basically just his
hacker.
old body.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's yeah, maybe something that's not just a computer based thing, like maybe something that you can just fight.
Give him like a electricity based bad guy.
Yeah, yeah,
How does
yeah.
Cyborg battle an electricity based bad guy when he just gets overloaded all the time?
Like as I said, it's probably going to be something I'll try. To be honest, just to give it a go. I'll wait on the team. Who they put on it, but yeah. So, moving on to June. So this is a big one in June. So we have got Shazam by Mark Waid and art by Dan Mora. Same team as World's Finest.
Instant by it's Mark Waid, it'll be good, and Stan Mora, the art will be good. So I'm just interested to see what Mark Waid will do with this very interesting mythology, what he might add to it.
Yeah. I'm not. I will admit I have not read or even read much Shazam. It's not a part of the DC universe that I untap too much. I've seen him pop up in things, but I've never really read. Out of all things, it's probably the only character I got left. A solo book by Shazam. So, but I like Mark Waid's writing a lot, and I do think this, just like we were saying about Williamson, this fits his tone really well. And I was reading like a couple of paragraphs of what this is about. There's something about punching dinosaurs. There's something about time travel. I mean, like this sounds fun. And as you said, you're not going to if everything else fails, the art in it's just going to be phenomenal. But I don't think it's going to fail writing wise. So, really, to be honest, this is kind of a sure thing.
The thing about a Shazam book is that it should always feel like the wackiest ideas of the 1940s without any of the racism.
Good call. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, definitely one I will pick up because I'm interested to see how it goes down, and just the images that I've seen so far with the art is just like yeah, count me in, count me in. This is exciting of DC coming up. So and then we got another one, which to be honest, personally, I am really excited about, but I'm sure everybody else is not. This is a Penguin story by Tom King.
No, I'm not excited for this. I had my fill of King on Batman, and when he left at 85, I was cheering. And then Tinian came on, and I was so happy because I
Yeah.
was like, I don't have to deal with that ever again. He just wrote a Batman that I didn't like, and he wrote a Penguin issue very specifically remember where the entire punchline is get it, the penguin, he had sex with the penguin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, I'm hoping he's going to go Tom King like in Strange Adventures, like in Mr. Miracle. There, he's going to deep down. He's going to deep dive and reconstruct the character and stuff like that. So I'm hoping he's going to do that. For what I've read, there's no mention of Batman. Apparently, he's trying to make a normal life of himself, but he's going to work for the FBI to try to take down another crime industry. So he has to get back in as undercover sort of thing, back into the crime industry. So it sounds cool. I don't know how he's going to do it, but I'm interested. I love the Penguin. I love what you could possibly do with Penguin. It's like just on a writing perspective. But I agree with you. I think Tom King at the time had his characters a little bit. No, I didn't like him. I've openly come out and said I did not like his Riddler. His Joker was,
They were just weirdly characterized.
They would look, I don't mind change, but they were just changed, but for the bad. It just didn't feel right. The Penguin stuff, yeah, I agree. I think this is going to spiral out of what's happening in Batman now. So hopefully Tom King keeps the tone that Penguin just had in the recent Batman. It was Zdarsky's first issue, I think Penguin was in, and that was it.
Yeah, I think so. And this is pretty interestingly timed for a supposed TV show that might be coming as well.
Exactly. So I would say just usually in Tom King's style, it's either going to be an 8 to 12 issue mini, something that'll just go for the year, like his Rorschach or his Strange Adventures. I'm interested. I usually, for me personally, Tom King, I just wait till the trade because it can be confusing sometimes to read month to month.
He tends to read better in like a row as well.
100% agree. That's what I found out because I did Mr. Miracle and Strange Adventures in trade, but then I did Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I did that in single issues, which was good, but I'm just reading it going, this would have been heaps better all in one hit. But yeah. On to, well, this is the last one I have, unless you have another one. The last one I have is Steelworks.
Yep, that's the last one I also have. I don't believe this one had a creative team or a date.
No, I know they've put a date. It's June.
June, okay.
And it's no team. John Henry Irons and Natasha Story. I can guarantee you this one's going to be a mini. I would love it to be ongoing.
Lots of Superman love in this lineup.
Yeah. Well, there's been a bit of John Henry Irons in the backups of action lately, and maybe they feel like it's time.
I wonder if they might do away with the backups in this initiative, bring the price down on the books, and produce more.
Well, funny you should mention that. I know Action is going to have 2 backups now, so it's going to be bigger. So it's going to be apparently Dan Jurgens is going to continue on his Clark and Lois story in the backup in Action.
That makes me happy. His Action run that ended at Action 1000 was so good.
Yeah. So, and then there's going to be a Power Girl story as a backup too. So there's going to be 2 backups in Action. So I don't know if you're going to get your wish there yet, Ryan. So unless those ones spiral into ongoings, I doubt it.
Because to me, that's what would make sense. You do backups to test reception on something. And then if it's received well, it then spirals out into its own thing and gets its own series.
Well, maybe that's what I assume what's happening with Steelworks right now, because as I said, John Henry Irons, well, it's been a family thing, but it's mainly Steel. It's mainly been his story, the backup. So maybe that's what as you said, it's receptive well. We go, hey, let's give it a mini. Put Natasha in it. We can get sort of a pass of the torch sort of story, and yeah, don't know.
And it's good to know that a mini at DC is always different to a mini at Marvel, because a mini at Marvel is just it's an ongoing until it's not.
And they don't let you know when it just finishes. They renumber it when it's like on 30. But so they've said 20, up to 20 new titles. We've got about 9 to 10 there. And this is only just the first half of the year, but we know there is a graph. If people look up the link, Dawn of DC, there is a graph, and I did see a Hawkman symbol coming up. So I'm thinking there is going to be a Hawkman series, which would be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. He hasn't had one in a bit since his last series ended.
And one of my favourite series, almost of all time, that one was. So really loved it. Rob Vendetti did a great job and really kept me. I think it went, well, it's 4 volumes, so I think it went to 30 issues. So it was quite nice. So is there anything else that you would expect, or do you think they're going to announce another character coming out? What do you think is going to happen, Ryan?
Where's the Titans book? That seems conspicuously missing and absent.
Well, in solicits, 101 of Nightwing, Nightwing is collecting up his new team of Titans, which apparently there's going to be no Justice League. So I'm assuming, or people are speculating that it's just going to be the Titans and that Dick Grayson's going to lead them.
I really like that. I like when the legacy characters get to have more of a forefront at the front of the universe.
They did say in solicits a new team, so I don't know if it's going to have many of the regulars or if it's going to have half regulars or whatever. I'm assuming it would have Wally, wouldn't it? Surely it'd have Wally.
Well, your staple Titans lineup, I would say, would be like Nightwing, Starfire, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Raven, Wally, sometimes Roy Harper, depending on what he's up to at the time.
Yeah. So it sounds like they're probably going to at least pick half of those. So I think on the cover I seen Beast Boy, so that's one, and Starfire. So any other books you reckon? Do you think they'll bring out a Supergirl book at some stage soon, since they're going superhero heavy?
Yeah, they could do that. Looks like they're gonna do a Batman event as well. Coming up. Brainiac looks to be the seed of this whole thing, so a Supergirl book would make sense there because she's really heavily tied to Brainiac. And then I noticed that there's a bat symbol on here. It's the classic bat symbol. And there's 1 or 2 characters that I think are conspicuously missing books at the moment, or have recently had books end, that I think this could relate to. So I suspect after Lazarus Planet and Batman vs. Robin, we'll get a new Robin book, and we'll get a new Red Hood book.
Yeah, well, that would be cool. That would be cool. I'm assuming if we get now, I'm just going to predict right now, if we get a Red Hood book, I'm going to bet that it's going to be Matthew Rosenberg writing it. He seems to have that corner of the dark and gritty, but yet funny characters.
I'd be willing to take that bet as well, that he'd be writing it. I don't really know who else would want to write one because, well, Red Hood isn't really that interesting, I don't think. He's just like, I kill people, done.
It would be hard to continue on a story past 6 issues. It really would. I mean, like, you could tell one story, but apart from that, to keep up and coming up with new ideas, this is why Red Hood and the Outlaws was such a good idea, because you had other characters to play with. If you could focus off Red Hood for a little bit and focus on one of the other characters for a little bit.
Because, yeah, for me, most solo Red Hood stories, just like the Punisher, they boil down to Red Hood shoot bad guys. And that's about it.
Yeah, I agree. And plus, the characters that I do love, but I 100% agree. There is a time, there's a time limit on them, but yeah. But we do need Red Hood back. Yeah, Robin just makes sense because at the moment, Robin's quite popular. So the Joshua Williamson book did really well.
And it would
So
only make sense that Mark Waid writes it too.
you probably won't be Williamson because you've got two pretty major books going on now. By midway point next year, he'll have Green Arrow and Superman. That's some pretty big books. So
He only really writes 2 books at a time anyway.
yeah, agree. Anything else you reckon will come out? Surely there'll be other stuff come out, but anything major? Do you think we'll get an Aquaman series soon?
Yeah, Aquaman seems like one where it's just like, yeah, that needs to come out. I wouldn't be surprised if they wait a bit till Williamson clears out and then eventually Williamson takes over.
Probably about the time the movie comes out, sort of thing.
Which will come first, the Aquaman book or the Aquaman movie? Let's wait and find out.
Exactly. And to be honest, for me also as well, what are they doing with Barry Allen? We've got a Wally book.
The Flash is one to me where it makes sense to have 2 books.
Yeah. You see,
And
that's what I mean. I'll be happy to have a Barry and Wally. I don't want them to choose one or the other.
Like, to me, it just makes sense because you have your Barry book where he's off doing like scientific adventures, running around, exploring stuff like Dinosaur Island.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your Wally book where he's just being the Flash, protecting the city, being your everyday man.
100%. I'd be happy with that. So, out of maybe an obscure character or a weird character, is there anything you would like to see, like a book?
I actually want a. I want 2 Flash books now.
Yeah.
Even though we do have a Flash book currently, I want Mark Waid to write it again.
Oh. Yeah, that would be lovely. Again, he's right for the tone. Him and Williamson sort of right for the tone. So yeah, great.
Plus, Mark Waid, he did a very famous Flash run already on Wally, and so much has happened since he did that run, to where it would be a very interesting thing to revisit.
If I had to pick, well, there's definitely heaps that I would say, but two main ones that I would say that I would hope that comes this year. I want a Satana book. Let's give it a go.
She's way overdue.
Yeah, like G. Willow Wilson. She's writing Poison Ivy at the moment. She's in DC at the moment, so get her on it. Get Nicola Scott to do the art. I reckon she'd do amazing.
Oh, that would be a good book. Such a good book.
Yeah, that would be the dream for me. And other one, to be honest, after I've seen the movie Black Adam, I would kind of like a Dr. Fate little mini. Let's get one.
Is he in JSA at the moment?
Well, see, I didn't read JSA at the moment, so I don't think so yet, but I'm assuming he will. Yeah. Anything else more to add there, Ryan, you think?
I think we've hit everything on the head that we needed to hit, except there is one thing I do think we need to hit on. Have you heard of our sponsor, Comx?
Yes, I have. They're a great company, and they sponsor us. And if you go to, we will put up the link in a minute. We will put up the ad in a minute, and you go to comx.com.au, and you can buy any Australian-owned comics, and it's just one flat rate. And I've gone and looked at it recently, and there's a few sales on, so get in there quick because things are starting to go. But if you ever just feel just to go on the net and just search it and just go, even look at the covers. That's what I did. And I'm just going, hey, that looks interesting. That looks interesting. It's one flat rate, and it goes to good people, good hardworking comic book people in Australia. So here it is. And what is AussieVerse, Ryan?
For life.
Thank you for joining us. Be sure you like and subscribe. And now here is a word from our sponsors.
This show is sponsored by the Comx shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. We hope you enjoyed the show.